A Squeegee kid convicted in a deadly altercation now seems to be making music from behind bars. Our team examines the lyrics in a story you'll see first on Fox. Hundreds of illegal dirt bikes and ATVs piled up in a Baltimore impound lot. How another city is making the promise to keep more from appearing on the streets. And later, tensions rising globally after a meeting between President Biden and Arab leaders was canceled. A live report from D.C. with the very latest.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Fox 45 News following the breaking news out of Northwest Baltimore tonight, where a fire has left 3 firefighters hospitalized. 4 homes are damaged. This is the scene along Linden Heights Avenue in the Langston Hughes neighborhood. There is a live look on the right side of your screen right there. The left is the scene earlier this afternoon. Right now, our crews are on the scene waiting for a news conference to begin to learn more about the condition of those firefighters. Stay with Fox 45. We'll bring you updates both on air and online. We'll also have a full report tonight on Fox 45 News at 10. Well, 3 months after a Squeegee kid is convicted in the death of a Baltimore driver, Fox 45 News getting a new perspective on the shooting. As the 16-year-old prepares for sentencing, it appears he has released a song about the incident from behind bars.
Does it concern you that some of the details from this case seem to have made its way into this song based on the lyrics?
Not at all. Not at all. Life imitates, art imitates life, chicken and egg, whatever.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Thanks so much for staying with us. It is a song you're hearing first on Fox. Comes just as the teen is set to be sentenced this upcoming Monday on manslaughter charges. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost has the exclusive details.
From her Facebook page, the mom of this teen calling on people to like and subscribe to her son's page. But it's the lyrics of one song specifically appearing to talk about Tim Reynolds' death that's raising questions and causing concern. Asia Gatson, the mom of the former Squeegee kid convicted of voluntary manslaughter, taking to Facebook seeking support. In August, writing, "Check my son on YouTube and like and subscribe." The link? This song. Difficult to understand at first, but some of the lyrics seemingly talk about details of Timothy Reynolds' death. In July 2022, Reynolds crossing several lanes of traffic, confronting a group of Squeegee kids at the Inner Harbor with a baseball bat. The Squeegee kid seen on surveillance video running to a backpack, grabbing a gun, again appearing to be discussed in this song. During the trial, jurors agreed the kid in question acted with some level of self-defense, convicting the teen of voluntary manslaughter. Reynolds seen walking back to his car when he was shot multiple times. Gatson posting a link to another song, writing, "This son of mine."
If this is, in fact, attributable to him, I mean, he's a product of his environment.
Warren Brown, one of the Squeegee kids' defense attorneys, says it isn't clear if the people on the track are, in fact, his client, but says he's not surprised with the content.
It's on par with most of the rap music these days. It talks about violence, talks about guns, glorifies violence that plagues our cities, demeans women. And so nothing surprising in any of that.
Brown questioning when the song was recorded, noting the apparent quality of the audio, especially since his client has been in custody for nearly a year.
It definitely does not sound like something that was done via a telephone.
But the dates the teen's mom posted the links coming after her son's conviction. We went to a known address for the teen's mom, but no one answered the door.
It's incredibly troubling and has left the family sick to their stomach.
Dhruv Ignaraja, the attorney for the Reynolds family, argues the song, paired with the mom's public support, shows someone who is not remorseful.
You don't have to take the rap lyrics word for it. It's his mom that's saying and celebrating what her son is rapping about. This is not a person who's learned any lessons, who feels any remorse, who appreciates the pain that he's caused. It's really disturbing.
The case igniting the city's conversation again about squeegee kids. Mayor Brandon Scott launching the Squeegee Collaborative, later rolling out enforcement zones, stopping squeegeeing from certain city intersections, including the one where Reynolds was killed.
I don't understand how my son is in this situation.
Gadsden's previous interviews indicate her son was squeegeeing to raise money for his 15th birthday party. Now, questions remain about what length of sentence this teen will face. Again, the teen will be back in court Monday for sentencing, and Brown tells me the defense will once again try and get the sentencing placed in the juvenile justice system, noting that had his client been originally charged with manslaughter, this all would have taken place in the juvenile system. I also reached out to the state's attorney's office to see if they would comment on this new reporting, but they tell me because this is still a pending legal matter, they can't say anything. We're in the newsroom. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, next month, lawmakers will bring state agencies together to address crime involving Maryland's young people. In the hot seat will be Vincent Schiraldi, the Secretary of Juvenile Services. He's facing increasing questions about the state of the department and how successful its efforts are in rehabilitating young offenders. Lawmakers will also talk about 2 recent laws on how young people are held accountable in the criminal justice system. Critics have blamed those changes for the recent rise in youth crime. Fox 45's investigation into Baltimore's car theft crisis reveals a pile of dirt bikes and ATVs inside the city's impound lot. These images captured by our drone this week after Baltimore City declined our request to tour the city's impound lot. Our Amy Simpson has the new information we're learning tonight.
We weren't allowed inside the impound lot, so we went above it. And these images of dirt bikes really telling a story of their own. Baltimore knows the sight and the sounds when dirt bikes and ATVs overwhelm city streets, intersections, and even neighborhoods. Now, this new aerial view of the city's main impound lot, which sits off of Pulaski Highway in East Baltimore, reveals a pit of dirt bikes piled on top of each other, the grass and trees growing among them.
It looked like there were about 200 dirt bikes.
A colorful reminder of a problem that's plagued the city for years.
When they come into the neighborhood, number 1, the dirt bikes are loud. Number 2, they play music that's loud.
This lifelong Baltimorean, Huber Memorial Church Reverend P.M. Smith, speaking to what he's witnessed.
It'll be 50 at a time rolling through the block, jamming up intersections, and it appears as if these young folks don't care because they have no fear of being stopped or held accountable.
As of yesterday, Baltimore police said 111 dirt bikes and ATVs have been seized so far this year. A BPD spokesperson saying if a dirt bike is stolen, it's returned to its owner. But if the bike or ATV was used on the streets illegally, it's up to the city solicitor to decide if it's returned to its owner. But illegal dirt bikes on city streets are not unique to Baltimore.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Last year, New York City Mayor Eric Adams sending a clear message.
I'm not going to give up on my promise and commitment to rid our streets of these bikes.
In front of the cameras, hundreds of New York City's illegal dirt bikes and ATVs flattened and flattened again, rendered useless.
I would follow the example of the mayor of New York, Mr. Eric Adams.
Now this outspoken community leader says Baltimore City should follow suit.
I would call for a day of accountability. I'd bring those bikes together, bring a bulldozer, I would crush every one of them, and then pile all the confiscated guns and crush them as well. A day of accountability for those dirt bikes and for guns before the eye of the public.
Saying city leadership has the opportunity to send a message of its own.
I think that's the adult move. That's the sensible move. That's the move that will win the confidence of our people back.
So just how many dirt bikes and ATVs are inside the city's impound lot right now? Well, our questions today to Baltimore City's Department of Transportation, which runs that main impound lot, those questions were never acknowledged. In Baltimore, Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Well, Fox 45 will continue to press local leaders for answers on the car theft crisis. If you have a stolen car story or know somebody who's been impacted by auto theft, we want to hear about it. Scan that QR code right there on your screen. Tell us what happened or send an email to news@foxbaltimore.com. It has been nearly a week since police identified the second suspect in the Morgan State University mass shooting, and right now that teen, 18-year-old Javon Williams, remains on the run. According to police, Williams and the 17-year-old arrested opened fire on MSU's campus on October 3rd, shooting 5 people, including 4 students. Investigators say the victims were not believed to be the intended targets and that the shooting stemmed from some sort of dispute. Well, tonight we are learning Williams was already under federal investigation for his alleged role in a drug trafficking operation in Washington, D.C.
What does this say about the individual? He's already named in a federal drug trafficking investigation. And then as he's being investigated for that crime, he allegedly commits this crime.
It shows he has absolute complete disregard for public safety. And it is absolutely in the interest of public safety that we get him off the street.
For more on that and the latest on the search for Williams, tune in to Fox 45 News at 10 tonight for Maryland's Most Wanted.
How is the war between Israel and Hamas causing a global divide elsewhere as President Biden tries to help both Palestinians and Israelis at the same time? I'm Scott Duman in Washington with a closer look coming up.
And if you're going to be headed out to dinner this evening, temperatures falling from the 60s back into the 50s by about 9, 10 o'clock. Some clouds increase, maybe some showers after midnight, but better rain chances coming into the weekend. I'll let you know when. My Weather Authority forecast.
President Biden is back home tonight after traveling to the Middle East. This evening, the president will deliver a primetime address from the Oval Office. He is expected to press Congress for additional aid for the war efforts in both Israel and Ukraine. You can watch it right here tonight at 8 on Fox 45 or our website, foxbaltimore.com. And here is the latest on the war. Now in its 13th day, nearly 5,000 people have been killed in both Israel and Gaza, and thousands more injured. Humanitarian aid will now be allowed to enter Gaza, where nearly 1 million people have been displaced. Tonight, the U.S. is warning American citizens in Lebanon to leave as tensions continue to rise on its border with Israel. Well, tonight, Hamas is claiming an Israeli airstrike in Gaza has killed the head of its security forces. As the war continues, protests are erupting around our nation and the world. Right now, there's also outrage after 500 people were killed inside a Gaza hospital on Tuesday.
A shell struck the hospital. We don't know what it was, but we saw its devastating impact, with children being torn to pieces.
Well, Palestinian officials are blaming Israel, while Israeli officials and U.S. intelligence say the Palestinian Islamic Jihad was behind that attack. And new reporting tonight that some of the weapons used by Hamas against Israel were made in North Korea. This news comes as some Arab nations are lining up against the United States. Sinclair's chief political correspondent Scott Thuman joins us live from D.C. tonight with more on the growing global fallout from this war. Good evening, Scott.
Yeah, good evening, Mary. And a long list of concerns you just laid out for viewers there. We're going to have to see how many of those President Biden chooses to address and what are kind of rare remarks for him from the Oval Office during prime time tonight. All of it going to show you just how high the stakes are. Images interpreted through different eyes. Some see President Biden with Israel's prime minister as allied solidarity. Others see it as taking a side, further escalating tensions. With the battles still waging on, President Biden backed Israel in his trip to the Middle East, but also promised help for citizens in Gaza, digging out, burying the dead, and now desperate for fuel, food, and medicine.
I was very blunt about the need to support getting humanitarian aid to Gaza. Get it to Gaza and do it quickly.
We have 31 Americans killed. We don't know how many Americans are hostages. And we got a president that wants to give money to Gazans? Give me a break.
And questioning assurances it will get into the right hands.
It cannot be misappropriated. It cannot be taken by Hamas fighters for their own purposes. And so we're going to be watching that very closely. It has to get to Palestinian civilians.
That despite Arab leaders snubbing Biden, canceling meetings with him while overseas. Meanwhile, American military hardware and vehicles delivered Thursday to Israelis, just as Hamas weaponry is now the source of controversy too. The Associated Press reports Hamas fighters likely used North Korean weapons during the initial assault, possibly provided from Iran.
Many, like this Soviet-built 50 caliber machine gun.
CNN assessing that firearms also appear to be altered Russian and Chinese weapons left behind on battlefields in decades past. And all of these moves, including America's involvement in the war in Ukraine, perhaps only exacerbating the divide and that figurative battle line that's been drawn between the United States and so many of its long-term foes, ranging from Russia to Iran. Mary?
And Scott, I understand there are even more signs of discontent beyond what you just outlined for us. Tell us about that.
Well, there certainly are. Take just one example, which would be that explosion at a hospital in Gaza, which the Jordanian minister today said Arab nations are not simply going to believe or take Israel's word for it, that they did not do it. There is deep-seated mistrust, and it's only gotten worse over the past 2 weeks.
All right, Scott Thuman, live for us in D.C. tonight. Thank you so much.
Look at the Fox Triplecast this evening. Mile 1 Taos Cam, Toyota Eastern Harbor Sky Cam. Few patchy clouds, but overall a nice mild day ahead of our next weather maker on the HD radar. You see some of the rain that's moving in from the north and west, Detroit back down to Pittsburgh, and then there's a batch of rain that's off the coastal Carolinas that's gradually moving northbound. That will get energized by this inland system here from Chicago all the way back to St. Louis and again out into western Pennsylvania. And in the interim, we're going to see our clouds increase. We could see a risk of a shower overnight, especially as we head toward late night as this approaches. And then tomorrow could see some stray showers. And then the energy transfers to the coast. At that point, tomorrow night, that's our best risk of getting some rain. And then this thing zooms out and off toward New England, bringing in some much cooler air. So let's plan things out, time it out. Now, for our day today into tonight, still primarily dry, but there we go into tomorrow. System 1 inland, System 2 forming along the coast. We kind of get that jump, if you will, of the energy to the coastline, and it shoots up into New England. But I think our best risk here, probably late Friday night into Saturday morning, especially wee hours Saturday morning. That's when we'll probably get most of our rain. And it's probably just light to maybe moderate stuff. 68 degrees now, winds out of the south-southeast at 10 miles an hour. Looking good temperature-wise, 65, 70. Real nice evening underway, and temperatures running about 5 to 10 degrees warmer than they were 24 hours ago. There's the cooler stuff up into Michigan, northwestern Ohio. We'll be tracking that into the weekend. Now on the tropics, there's Tropical Storm Tammy. Looks like that could become a hurricane in the next couple of days as it likely hits the Antilles and then eventually moves out into the open Atlantic. So it won't be a problem for the United States. Now the future scan overnight into early tomorrow morning. You'll see the extra clouds. There's that risk of a stray shower or two. Nothing really travel impacting as we fall down into the 50s. A mix of clouds and some sun tomorrow. I think it's more so weighted on the clouds. And there's that rain risk moving in Friday after midnight, or Friday, I should say, after sunset through about midnight. So Friday evening plans could be wet and then beginning to move out as we head into early Saturday. I'll let you know what's to come for the weekend. My exclusive 10-day forecast.
Well, threats abroad now leading to threats at home. The shocking warnings in Washington about technology and terrorism. Tonight, an unprecedented warning from several intelligence agencies. They are sounding alarm bells about growing domestic threats, with would-be terrorists more likely to use technology to assist. National correspondent Christine Frizzau has the story.
Violence in the Middle East prompting new threats here at home. On full display at protests worldwide, deep anger, experts say, may soon be used to harness new ways to try to launch attacks in parts of the world bad actors could never set foot in. One of the biggest risks, artificial intelligence.
AI over time, and potentially sooner than we might think, will give various of our adversaries, both sophisticated adversaries and less sophisticated adversaries, new ideas, new access to dangerous knowledge.
From fake photos like this showing Donald Trump being arrested, created by Bellingcat founder Elliot Higgins, to using AI technology to mimic the voice of children to conduct so-called virtual kidnappings to try to extract ransom payments from worried parents.
We worry about AI as an amplifier for all sorts of misconduct.
These concerns raised by leaders from Five Eyes, a group formed after World War II to better share intelligence.
Where it's most dangerous is essentially taking junior varsity bad actors and bringing them to the varsity level. But in fairly short order, we're going to be seeing AI taking the varsity level athletes and taking them to a whole nother level of dangerousness.
Despite the urgency, those who study technology say the warnings are being ignored, in large part because so many leaders don't understand it.
Throughout Capitol Hill, you have people who have never logged into Twitter, who have never made a post on Facebook, and we're expecting them to understand artificial intelligence, but the world is moving on without them.
Along with warnings about AI, security leaders also made clear it's been extremely beneficial in gathering intelligence and countering threats. Finding the balance of its use and misuse is expected to be among the greatest challenges for the future. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzau.
All right, your exclusive 10-day forecast. Temperature's going to be near 70 tomorrow, 65 to 70. Maybe some showers, especially late in the day tomorrow night. The best risk of an on and off type of rain. It's blustery day with maybe a shower there on Saturday, 64. Cool, blustery, but dry for the Ravens game with highs close to 60. Going to feel cooler than that with winds gusting to 35. And then 60 on Monday. Winds die down. Warms up, though, middle of next week. How about 75 by next Friday? And a cool down once again into next weekend. And guess what? Maybe more rain.
And finally tonight, Halloween is just around the corner, and here's what the U.S. thinks is the worst and best candies. According to CandyStore.com, the two most popular sweets are, not too much of a surprise, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups and M&M's. And for the worst candy, circus peanuts and candy corn, really, took the top two low spots. According to the data, people here in Maryland voted Hershey's Kisses as their favorite candies. Well, that's all for Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feuds next. We'll see you back here for the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.